Rebecca. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to IHR. I'm Robin Stander, and I am Vice President for a company called Appcast. My background is I spent 11 and a half years at TotalJobs.com. I was head of international sales over there. In 2016, I left that business to set up the ZipRecruiter's UK division. ZipRecruiter are listed on the New York Stock Exchange. They're the second largest job board in the US. And the reason why that's important will become apparent later in the conversation. Been with Appcast for 3 years, primarily driving our growth in the enterprise hiring space. Appcast, who we are and what we do. We're an American company. We were founded in 2014 in a place called Lebanon, New Hampshire, 2 hours north of Boston. Our CEO is a gentleman called Chris Foreman. He's a serial entrepreneur in the HR technology space, built and sold multiple applicant tracking systems and aggregators, and in 2019 sold 80% of the business to Stepstone, which is Europe's largest publishing business, coverage in 23 countries. We've scaled fast, so over the last 10 years we've iterated our software any number of hundreds of times. We very much consider ourselves to be the global pioneers and the global leader in programmatic job advertising. About 1/3 of all job advertising spend in the United States currently runs through our platform, so about $1.6 billion a year, which means we have access to lots and lots of great data about how jobs perform and how candidates engage with your jobs. Some of the companies we work with, we don't work in any specific niche because we buy from a very, very large network of job boards and aggregators, about 30,000 individual publishers. Programmatic job advertising just works for every single type of role that we advertise. Just a couple of the brands that we work with there. So, before we dive into programmatic, I just wanted to give you a brief synopsis of what we're seeing right now in the labour market and how that's potentially impacting you and your teams when you're advertising your jobs, the impact on the number of candidates that are coming through to you, and also the quality of those candidates coming through. This is what's happening. This is fresh off the press from our labour economist, Julius Probst. So, as many of you will have experienced and been aware of, during the pandemic, things changed quite significantly in the UK. The number of people on long-term sickness dramatically increased to 2.8 million people. So there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines. Unemployment rose and the number of vacancies went down. Now that dynamic has consistently changed over the last 3 years, and where we were 12 months ago was very different to where we are right now. So last year there was an undersupply of job seekers and an over demand for those job seekers. So lots and lots of vacancies in the marketplace, but not enough job seekers to meet that demand. Over the last 12 months, due to changes in the economic climate, an increase in unemployment, a marginal increase in unemployment, and migration into the UK, the dynamic has now shifted to where we've got more candidates than the number of jobs that are available. And many of you may have experienced this in that you are getting lots and lots of job seekers applying for your jobs. Whether they are the right type of job seekers applying for your jobs is another question. So there's a gap now of about 550,000 individuals. What does that mean for you guys? So as demand for labour increases, but supply increases at the same time, there is a significant downward pressure on the amount that you guys will pay for every application coming through. So if you went back 12 months, the average cost for an application across all platforms was £21. 12 months later, it's down to £11.51, which is fantastic for you guys, and you can benefit from that. That is not sector specific, that is consistent across all sectors in the marketplace. Now, if you're fortunate enough to work in social care or work in care homes, for example, where you have high attrition but high numbers of people that you're looking to employ, you might expect to pay somewhere around £2 or £3 an application. If, like many other companies, you're hiring for software engineers or Java developers, you might expect to pay somewhere around £25 an application. But this differs, as we will find out later on, dependent on the apply flow that you have on your website and the robustness of your applicant tracking system. There is no single recruitment market. Every job behaves differently in the marketplace, and every sector has different benchmark data associated with it. We have a report. It's called the 2024 Recruitment Marketing Benchmark Report. Come and see me about it. We can give you access to it, and you can do a deep dive on specifically how your types of jobs are behaving in the market and what you will expect to pay for those jobs. Apply rates vary by sector and by device. What you may or may not know is that the candidates that you are trying to attract into your organisation will engage differently with you depending on whether or not they're on a desktop device or on a mobile device. If the candidate is considered to be blue collar, usually meaning they're mobile and on their feet, then they are significantly more likely to apply from a mobile device. So we're talking about warehouse operatives, people who are HGV1, HGV2 drivers. They don't have time to go back to their house, jump on a desktop to make an application. As much as 75% upwards of those individuals will be applying from a mobile. Conversely, if you are trying to attract people like Java developers or software engineers, then you are more likely to get those candidates from a desktop. Why is this important? Because what we find in the data is that people have not optimized both experiences. There's a lot of shopping around at the moment for applicant tracking systems and careers sites. Everybody is sniffing around the market, looking for something new. Quite often, they are given a very, very nice optimized desktop experience, but the mobile experience doesn't always meet the desktop. So as part of your evaluation process, you need to make sure that both of those processes are optimized. And again, we can share that data with you so you can make a more informed decision. There are lots of great ATSs in the room today. So that's what's going on in the market. Programmatic 101. Quick show of hands. Who knows what programmatic job advertising is? You, sir. No, sir. Yes. One person out of 2, 3. Oh, I know you. Yeah, you would. 3 people. Okay, good. Gives me a clean slate. So, programmatic is very much considered to be the evolution of recruitment advertising. It's the use of software and data to make informed decisions about where to buy candidates from at the right place and the right time. This is how it works. After this presentation, you're all going to be very, very excited, and you're all going to run over to Desk 34 and you're going to have a conversation with me, and I'm going to talk to you about the virtues of using Appcast. What we're going to do is we're going to connect with your applicant tracking system. It might be Workday, it might be iSIMS, it might be SuccessFactors. There are about 160 ATSs out there. We work with all of them in various guises. We're going to do 2 things. One, we're going to get an XML feed of jobs directly out of the ATS. If you don't understand that, it doesn't matter. The ATS know what they're supposed to do, and they give it to us. Secondly, we're going to place a pixel on what would be considered the thank you page, which is the page that sits directly after the apply button on the website. We now have an integration in place. We can now track. So think about when you last bought job seeker traffic from a job board. The experience might have been just like this, and I don't want to offend anybody because we're all friends in the marketplace, but I was at one of those job boards for a long time, so I know how it works. Phone rings, answer the phone. Who is it? It's a sales rep from one of the leading job boards. How many jobs do you want to advertise with me? I've got 50 jobs to advertise right now. From underneath my desk, I produce a laminated rate card, and on that rate card, it tells me that for the month, 50 jobs is going to cost you, Mr. Customer Hung Lee, £10,000. But because I like you, and because it's the end of the month and you're going to sign up with me for 12 months, I'm going to give you a 10% discount. I'm sending you the paperwork now. That's that. And then you put the phone down and somebody else calls you from another job board. That's how it's been for the last 24 years. The challenge associated with that business model is it's not results focused. You advertise your 50 jobs. Some of those jobs get applications. Some of those jobs don't get any applications at all, and you are left somewhat dissatisfied. You give the account manager a call and you say, what do I do now? And they say, go into your job adverts individually and throw a load of keywords into the body of the text. It will boost your ranking. It's called keyword stuffing. It's a little bit naughty, but it kind of works for a couple of days. Everybody else does it. There's a downward pressure on your jobs and they end up on the third page. Or they may well try to sell you another product. It costs you more money. That's how people have always done it. In 2011, a business called Indeed.com turned up in the market, flexing their huge American muscles. And they offered something called cost per click based advertising. So for the first time, you could realize someone clicking on your job and you paying for that level of engagement. There are lots of other people in the market like ZipRecruiter, like Talent.com, like JobRapido that do the same thing. The challenge associated with a cost per click based model is that there is wastage in the process. You advertise for a junior level role and you get 300 clicks, but you don't need 300 clicks. You need 10 clicks, 3 applications, and you make the hire. So you've paid for 290 clicks that you don't need. Then you've got your software engineers or your Java developers, and there's no applications at all. That's how things are right now. We offer something called cost per completed apply. So we only invoice based on the applications that are delivered directly into the back end of the ATS. Programmatic vendors, not just us, work with you to understand what you're trying to achieve against each individual role in each individual location, different priorities, jobs that you really struggle with. We put rules and bids into the software, and then the software casts the job to a very wide network of job boards: Total Jobs, Reed, CV Library, Monster, Talent.com, Indeed.com. And if you work on a global basis, that could be as many as 30,000 individual job boards. It means you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket. It means you are spreading the net far and wide, and you're not reliant on one individual source of traffic. Data comes back into the software, and the software starts to buy traffic from the sources that are working, i.e. the ones that are delivering applications. If one of those job boards delivers 25 clicks and there are no applications in your ATS, you pay nothing. That's the magic. But it goes further than that. I'm going to send you some applications and you're going to say, thank you, Robin, for those applications, but they're all rubbish. And my question to you would be, what does that even mean in your world? And you may well say, none of those candidates have made it through to first stage interview, none of those candidates have been screened, or none of those candidates have been hired. With something called a quality connection, it means we can track all the way through the hiring process. So as long as your team are using the ATS correctly, filling out each of the individual disposition steps in your ATS, moving the candidate forward, that data populates in the software, and then the software starts to buy from the job boards that are only delivering good quality candidates. 10 applications that don't make it through to first round interview are no use to you, and therefore over a period of time you want an optimized performance that only is delivering interviews and hires. The way that we look at it is hires are a trailing indicator of quality. In that, if we can get interview data from you, we know that that candidate is perceived to be quality. Now, it might take 30 days, it might take 60 days, or it might take 90 days for that candidate to make it through, all the way through to hire. So if we get the data back on interviews early doors, that means the software can start to optimize straight away. We work with many of the world's largest banks, and in some scenarios, it takes 6 months to get a candidate into the organization. So as long as we know that candidate is progressing, we can make informed decisions about where to buy. That's programmatic very, very quickly. Okay. Supercharging job ad content for maximum impact. Whether you decide that programmatic is the right thing for you or not, that's fine. The next few slides that I'm going to share will fundamentally impact the amount of candidates that you get through on your site and the way that they convert through the funnel. And again, all of this information is available in the report that we can share with you. A show of hands for everybody in the room who has tested their apply flow in the last 12 months. Don't be shy, Rebecca. Okay, so that's 5 people who are very good at their job. Congratulations. But don't worry, every time I ask that question, nobody raises their hands. So that's fine. Why is it important to test the apply flow on your site? The reason why it's important is because you might be losing candidates, or you might be losing the right candidates. They might be put off by all of the questions you're asking. So these are the types of things you need to think about when looking at your apply flow. Number one, left-hand side, how long does it take you to apply? And if you think about it from your perspective, think about it from a candidate's perspective who doesn't know your brand, has never seen your careers site before, and doesn't even know what an applicant tracking system is. Those are the types of things that you need to consider when you're seeing how long it takes you to apply for a job. I will tell you now that 5 minutes is where you need to be. Once you start creeping over 5 minutes, you get into dangerous territory and you lose candidates. Secondly, is the candidate required to register and log in? So the candidate goes through, this is particularly popular with the big ATSs, the big American ATSs. You go through all the process and then they ask you to register. And when they do that, it moves over to this one here, whereas they send a verification link through to your email. Test the apply flow to see whether that is happening or not. I'll show you why that's important in a moment. Is your target audience blue collar or white collar for the reasons I previously mentioned? And have you tested on desktop and mobile? So, this is an example. I haven't made this up. This came straight out of the back end of our software. This is the impact of a broken apply flow, and talks specifically about the example of someone who has a verification email in their process. This may or may not have been a public sector organisation who may or may not have been recruiting for police officers. Not in this city. So the problem with this application flow was A, it's just difficult. B, they were asking far too many questions of the candidate. But when the candidate got to the very end of the process, it says, enter your email address and we'll send you a verification email. So they did. But of course, if they entered a Hotmail address, because they're my age and they've still got a Hotmail account, they never got an email. So I sat for 24 hours waiting for my application to be processed, and I never got that email. As a result, not only did it take me 28 minutes to apply, because there are about 25 to 50 questions in the process, only 0.26% of those people that started the application were able to complete it. Now, that's important because if you are working on a cost per click model, you're going to be paying for all of those clicks. And if they don't convert into applications, it's money down the drain. Secondly, there's a direct correlation between apply time, conversion rate, and the amount you pay for an application. I said previously that the average cost per application right now is £11.51. This employer was paying £172. I cut the campaign off. This is a waste of money. You need to go away. You need to get your ATS working better. You need to get those verification emails going through properly. Secondly, this is a long apply flow, 48 minutes. This might have been a public sector organisation recruiting for people with guns. Think of being a 16-year-old in the north of England. You're applying for your very first job. You want to be a soldier. This is what happened. The process took 48 minutes. The conversion rate was 0.88%. So we sent through tens of thousands of job seekers potentially wanting to be soldiers, but they couldn't get through the process. They gave up and they went somewhere else. The cost per application was £187. That's taxpayers' money. So if you're paying for clicks, it's money down the drain. And even if you are getting the applications, they are well above market average. This is where you need to get to. This is a high street retailer hiring for cashiers and people on the front desk. 6 minutes to apply, whether it be desktop or mobile, it's consistent. The conversion rate is almost 10%. That's for every click, 10% of those individuals are converting to a paid apply. And as a result, the cost per application is well below the market average, £3.63. And they're getting that from a large mix of job boards. That's the magic. You pay less if you improve the front end of the performance. Shorten the apply flow, reduce friction in that process. 1 to 5 minutes, 12.4% conversion, all the way through to 15 minutes, and it comes down by 3/4. It's that impactful. Ask fewer questions. Those companies asking anywhere between 1 and 25 questions have a conversion rate of 10% versus those having 26 to 50 questions. I can't even believe that happens, but it does. They have a 7% conversion. So again, do those questions need to be asked? Are they questions that are already being asked or already being positioned on the CV? Don't ask someone to fill out their work history when it's already included on the CV and they're attaching the CV. What a massive waste of time. And the last part of this is get internal stakeholders. The amount of people I speak to and I say, your apply flow is broken, and they say, we can't do anything about it, it's HR's problem. HR are the ones who write the job adverts. Great. Start working with us or a programmatic vendor, get the data out of the software and say, our apply flow is taking too long and we're wasting money. That's how we get internal stakeholder buy-in. Job title length impacts clicks. 1 to 3 words is where you need to be with your job titles. As you increase the number of words in the job titles, there is a degradation in the amount of people applying. Why is that? It's because all the individual job boards are built on an algorithm, and the algorithm is built to position the exact job title against what the candidate is looking for. And if you put in a location, or you put in the salary, or you put in some symbols, some asterisks, the candidate will not find it because your job will be down on the 2nd or 3rd page. Keep the job title highly relevant and highly precise. This is customer service. These are all the different ways customer service can potentially be positioned. We have the data to tell you which ones are the most popular in terms of candidates, or you can use something like SEMrush and you can go and see what candidates are actually searching for when they go to Google. Really important stuff. The example I always use is sandwich artist. So don't use job titles that no one would ever search on. Java Jedi, things like that. Job seekers, while you're trying to make your brand look funky and sexy, the reality is job seekers will never search on a sandwich artist. You need to use a highly specific, highly targeted job title so that candidates can find it on the job board. Optimize the length of your job description. 200 to 400 words is the optimum length of your job description, and it has an 8.4%, 8.5% conversion rate. As you start to go up towards 1,000 words and below 200 words, there is a degradation in the amount of people who are applying. Including benefits. Who includes benefits on their job descriptions? Fantastic, well done, good. So, lots of companies don't because they want to hide certain things or they want to have that later in the process. If you want to get maximum impact with job seekers, include as many benefits as possible. 0 benefits, 7.4% conversion, and it pretty much goes up by 55% when you have just 2 benefits listed in the job advert. And if you include 4 benefits in the advert, then it increases the number of candidates coming through by 86%. 2 adverts, pretty much the same. Social care adverts, both recruitment consultancies, very, very similar location. The one on the left-hand side has 20 benefits listed. The one on the right-hand side has no benefits listed. The one on the left-hand side had a 10% conversion rate. The one on the right-hand side had a 1.5% conversion rate. It's that simple. But what benefits do I include, Robin? These are the benefits that you need to think about. We randomly selected 100,000 job adverts from across the millions of job adverts that are advertised with us. These are the ones that stand out. Healthcare benefits, family benefits, additional compensation such as bonuses, paid time off, education and professional development. Get them in there, get them front and centre, put them at the top of the job advert. A lot of companies do not like to display salary. If you have the opportunity, please do, because it's likely that your competitors are doing it. Benchmark, see what the rest of the industry is doing and make a case to HR that you really need to have it. There are lots of sectors where that's important. If you look at IT or you look at social care, there's so many companies hiring for exactly that same individual. If you are not a sexy brand, if you are not one of the big players, you need to stand out from the big brands and make your brand look more attractive. So, are all benefits listed in job ads equal? The answer is no. Our research found that only 52% of job descriptions, so approximately the same amount of people who put their hands up, included any benefits at all. So we need to ensure that we're putting benefits in. This is what came out on top. The number one benefit that you need to include, if it's available to that opportunity, is regular incremental bonuses. And we saw the difference between including it and not including it, a 155% increase in job seeker conversion. Pet insurance. I didn't even know what pet insurance was because I don't have any pets. If you include pet insurance, maybe this is partly US data and partly UK data, Americans love animals, 37% increase if you put pet insurance on the advert. Health insurance, 29% increase, and stock options or employee purchase plan, 27%. But there is a big funnel, and we can show you all of that data as well, so you can see the impact of including them rather than not including them, if your business offers them. And lastly, Glassdoor. So Glassdoor are owned by the same company, Recruit, that owns Indeed. Phenomenal business, and they are far and away the most trafficked website when it comes to employee reviews. And you also see employee reviews on Indeed as well. Why is this important? Because when job seekers are looking at your brand, not only are they looking at your careers site to understand whether it's a brand they want to work with, how strong your employer brand is, they will also look at Glassdoor. If you have a Glassdoor rating of 4.1 and above, you are in heaven, but you are the lucky few. Most people do not. If you're in the social care space, the average is about 2.1 to 2.3. Very high levels of attrition. You need lots and lots of applications to get the right individual. Moving from 2.5 to a 3 rating increases applications by 42%. Mention workplace awards you've won. Flaunt the brand. If it's not a particularly sexy brand, think about how you can make it sexy to get people into the organisation. Talk about it, speak about it, get it listed high on the website, and do everything you possibly can to improve your Glassdoor rating. So, perfect timing. Takeaways. Time to apply impacts conversion rate, and in turn impacts the cost that you guys pay. If you want to be a hero for your business, if you want to drive down cost fast, this is really important. It's an immediate takeaway and an immediate impact. Act on what you can control and think like a job seeker. Use programmatic to drive quality candidates rather than just candidates that don't convert through the funnel. Think about how you're moving them through those steps. Leverage data. Many people that I ask will not know where their best source of traffic is. Is it Indeed? Is it TJ? Is it Reed? I don't know. The ATS doesn't tell me. I'm not getting that data presented to me. Use programmatic. All the data is freely available. It's tangible. You can feel it. You can smell it. And you can act on it. Test your apply flow on desktop and mobile. Shorten your apply time to 5 minutes. 200 to 400 words. Adding benefits will significantly increase conversion rate. That is it. Thank you for listening. We are directly through there, stand 34. Please do come over and ask any questions, or ask questions now with Rebecca.